Soil cement used for new public garden in Mosta. Youngest Maltese MP publishes entire €500 election expenses. And a Maltese man opens up about living with 3 microchips. All this and more on Lovin Daily. Good evening and welcome to Lovin Daily. I'm Diacono, joined today by Johnathan and Cilia, and today we have a very special guest, Mużika Mużika winner Kurt Calleja, who will speak to us about his winning song Bla Tarf. So look forward to that, but until then, John, we have a story about soil cement used for a new public garden in Mosta. Can you tell us about that?
That's exactly right, Tim. So today's top story is regarding Chico Fenech's former field in Mosta, the notorious murderer Chico Fenech. After he passed away, his field was set to become a public garden. However, it turns out, as new images of the garden have been released to the public, that a new material that looked like cement covered a lot of the garden. It turns out, after Lovin Malta reached out to the authorities, that it is not cement, it is actually something called soil cement, which is the first time I'm hearing about this term, soil cement. So what is soil cement? We reached out to Environment Minister Miriam Dalli, who explained to us that soil cement is a, quote, natural material made of soil, gravel and other aggregates that allows grass vegetation to colonize the same pots, but at the same time things like wheelchairs and pushchairs can be used on this structure. So this is very interesting because obviously Chico Fenech's garden was meant to become a public garden, a green space for people living in Mosta. However, now that a lot of grey soil cement has appeared all over these green fields, many people are very, very worried. You know, is it going to become a public garden or is it going to become another cemented over area? We also reached out to the former Mayor of Mosta, Romilda Baldacchino-Zard, who is now an MP, and she told us, quote, undoubtedly as a Mostilla who lived and was raised in the area for over 20 years, I remember the area well, and she went on to describe it as an abandoned space, which for many years was completely inaccessible to the community of Mosta. So, you know, Lovin Malta would definitely be looking and following the latest developments of this. But Tim, you know, it does seem that this public garden is going in a very particular direction.
Yeah, that comment struck me, of Romilda Baldacchino-Zard calling it an abandoned area. It's a field, a normal field, nature taking its course. And I think this attitude is kind of symbolic of our attitude towards the environment, towards the environment in Malta, where you see something that's it might be tough to access, but it's nature, you know, and that's converted into human-made parks. I think we need more of an appreciation of nature in its raw form, and not only focusing on building parks in the middle of cities and towns, because at the end of the day we don't have much nature left, and we need to protect all that we have, or at least as much of it as possible. Moving on, new PNP Eve Bonello has done something which is extremely rare for a Maltese politician, which is publish the entire costings of her election campaign for the sake of transparency. And in fact, it wasn't such, if her numbers are to be believed, it wasn't such a costly campaign. Eve Bonello spent a total of €506 on her 40-day campaign, consisting mostly of Facebook ads and business cards. And again, she only had around 40 days to campaign, which is actually quite impressive, you know, considering there's this common mantra that you won't ever get elected unless you splash out a lot of money on it, and we've seen quite a lot of politicians doing that. So yeah, the fact that she got there while only spending €500 is quite a big achievement.
You know, I think if there's anyone that's shown us how to run a political campaign, especially if you're a newcomer, it is definitely Eve Bonello. Especially getting elected to Parliament with just a €500 campaign is crazy. Independent candidate Arnold Cassola revealed also how much his campaign cost. It cost just over €3,000, and this is also someone that I can imagine would be, you know, saving a lot of funds. Just so you're aware, in Malta, the electoral law states that you cannot spend over €20,000 per candidate per district, and this is very interesting, especially in light of some of the glitzier campaigns. For example, Gozo Minister Kurt Calleja had quite a bombastic campaign across the sister island, so it'll be very interesting to see how much he spent on that. But either way, spending €500 and getting elected hats off to you. Moving on to the next story about a man in Malta that's living in the future. So one man, Stephen Cilia, opened up about how he lives with not one, not two, but 3 microchips in his hand. With these microchips, he opens his car door, his home door, and he even pays for goods when going to the grocery store. So I can imagine this is probably a bit scary for many, many people, very futuristic, not just 1 chip, but 3 chips in the hand. And this guy's had it for at least a decade. It was back in 2008 when he started first thinking about this. And he says, when he makes payments in the stores using his wrists, people start grabbing at his hand. They start looking for a smartwatch or some hidden card somewhere, but no, it is just a very tiny chip under his skin. Now, this is not something that's very new. Around the world, chipping or microchipping is becoming more and more of a common thing. Back in 2019, American company, a vending machine company in Wisconsin, in America, actually had all its staff installed with microchips for ease of use and payment. It's worth noting, though, that a lot of the staff actually quit in protest over this mandate from their company. But yep, the future is very much now. Yeah, the problem with this, I feel, is that the moment your daily life becomes so reliant on some technological device to the point it's actually ingrained within your skin, then you become reliant on it. And that means who controls it and what happens if that device can be taken away from you, or the threat of knowing that it can be taken away from you. So, for example, this man who pays for his groceries with a chip, right? What happens if the bank or the government or someone decides, you've done something which is I deem to be antisocial or against the norms of society, therefore you are not allowed to use your chip anymore, or you can only use, say, €100 of it every day. I mean, we've seen recently, not too long ago in Canada, Justin Trudeau warning that banks could freeze accounts of people protesting against COVID rules. Like, what's that happened? What do you think would have happened if these people had chips inside them? I just don't think it's so healthy to give up so much control over our personal bodies. Moving on, the first edition of the Lovin Marathon took place last weekend. People running and walking from Slima to Birgu. First of all, big shout out to everyone who participated in it. It was no mean feat, especially considering the weather was quite hot. But I'd like to focus on 2 particularly inspirational stories from the event. First of all, endurance athlete Johnathan Police ran the full marathon just 3 months after giving birth. So she had to adapt, of course, and run at a bit of a slower pace. But not only did she get there, but she finished in 3rd place, which is seriously impressive. And secondly, Tommy Wallbank, also quite a well-known endurance athlete, ran the half marathon this time, but tied to a blind Danish athlete called Jesper Mathisen, which means that he had to run while tied to this man and guiding him throughout the race to make sure that he stays on course. He said afterwards, even though the competition element is important, sport is about bringing people together, and empowering people is the most important thing. So, yeah, very inspirational stories from the Lovin Marathon last weekend. And they're not the only, kind of big winners over the weekend. Moving on to our final story. If you watched Shark Tank Malta last night, you would have seen that one of the 4 pitches actually got quite an investment. So a Maltese Canadian woman, Teresa Bugelli, appeared on Shark Tank Malta, and she pitched her idea of a Canadian pastizzi truck. So this would be a truck in Canada, not in Malta, selling pastizzi, right? She doesn't have a background making pastizzi. She doesn't have a background in, catering, but she has a lot of passion, and she believes that niche cultural foods like the pastizzi need to be represented in Canada. And what do you know? But she actually got an investment, €100,000 investment from one of the sharks, Mark Bayada. So this company is called Mama Malta. Like I said, based in Canada. Even though Teresa herself is currently in Malta, she works as a special needs teacher in Swatar. So I can only imagine, now that she's gotten this investment, and I think she'll be heading back to Canada later this year, this time next year we might have a very, hopefully, successful pastizzi food truck running around Toronto, Ontario, Vancouver. So definitely congratulations to Teresa from here. We do hope that, succeed. We will definitely be following your story. And, it's really interesting when you hear about these kind of stories in Australia, America, Canada, England. Foods like pastizzi are oftentimes, you know, a very central part of these communities abroad.
Yeah. I mean, it's all those moments when you think, oh, why couldn't I have come up with that, right? Because it's quite a
food truck.
Yeah, it's quite a simple idea, but also a really good one, especially if there are Maltese communities in the vicinity. But I would say not only. I think there could perhaps be potential to expand it to places where there aren't so many Maltese people yet. I mean, at the end of the day, everyone has mouths and stomachs, and everyone can appreciate the goodness of a good pastis bil piselli. And that's it from us today. But stay tuned, because we're going to be interviewing Mużika Mużika winner Kurt Calleja very shortly. Stay tuned.
Mużika Festival winner, Kurt Calleja is in the building. Thanks so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, first of all, congratulations on the big win. I mean, this was a song Blatarf. If you haven't heard of it, I'm sure many of our viewers have heard of it. If you haven't heard it, it's a very beautiful power ballad. And we're going to talk a little bit about the story behind it. But first of all, you know, what's your reaction to the win? Were you expecting it?
I don't work, so because it's like there's no easy way to answer that, right? I mean, I like to, whenever I'm doing something, I'm my own competition, right? I want to be better than I was yesterday, and better not just as a singer, but I want to be better as a songwriter, as a son, as a brother, as an uncle, as a colleague at work. You know, I want to do that every day. Blatarf, I mean, I entered into Mużika Mużika because I loved watching it last year. I love the Maltese language. I love the fact that you get to sing with an orchestra. And for me, that was the most important thing. The fact that I go there, and if I'm going to do it once, let's say I did the semi-final and I didn't make it through, at least I can look back on that performance and say, you know, I was happy with that 3 minutes and a half. Then obviously the next day we sang legendary Maltese songs, and that was a really fun event. So at least even if I didn't make it through, I know I got to go on that stage another time and sing, you know, with an orchestra and all that. And I got to sing L-ewwel tfajla li ħabbejt, which is, you know, an easy sing along. You know, and I got to be the Kurt Calleja that a lot of people know. You know, like put your hands in the air, let's sing kind of one. And then obviously when they were saying who was going to make it through, I mean, from the feedback I got on Thursday and Friday morning, I didn't even, obviously I wanted to make it through, but I wanted to make it through to be able to sing it again on that stage with the orchestra, right? Because from all the feedback I got, I was already happy. You know, I knew that it wasn't important that Kurt Calleja wins a trophy. What I was happy with is that Blatarf won Maltese people's hearts, you know, and that for me was the biggest trophy I could ever win. And then obviously they left me till the end, you know, to announce that I made it to the final. So instead of Blatarf, I was Blanifs. And that was, I've been practicing that all day, by the way.
Working on that one.
Yeah, I've been working on that. Not my best joke, but you know,
it works.
It works. So then we made it to the final, and I was like, before going on stage for the final, me and Alejandro, who's the guy playing the piano, I was like, dude, this could be the last time we're going to sing it on the stage with this orchestra. You know, like, I mean, the chances are that it will be the last time, right? And, you know, I told him, let's, you know, just transmit love through your fingers onto the piano. And, you know, I'm going to give the performance that I wanted to do exactly what I did on Thursday. But because of all the love I received on Thursday evening and Friday and Saturday morning, I just had so much more to project, you know.
No,
And
on
then-
stage, you're clearly confident. You know, that's the thing. Like, you could see in your performance, you know, you were very comfortable to be there. I have to ask you, you know, your smiles to camera are very well timed. Do you practice those smiles to camera?
No. Obviously, experience does help. I mean, I've been doing TV for, I'd say, 12, 13 years in total, consistently. I was like on a few TV shows when I was a kid or a teenager, but literally just because I'm a busybody, or I don't know. You know, I was just like, I want to be on television with that thick Maltese accent.
There you go. And Eurovision was 11 years ago?
10.
10 years ago.
10 years ago. But I know, obviously, when the camera that's on has a red light normally on TV, and in this case it's white. So you know, and I don't see very well, by the way, without glasses.
Yes.
Right. So it's not always easy to. But the most important thing is that I'm enjoying what I'm doing. So anytime I'm going to be smiling, right? If I'm doing what I love. And then all I need to do is when my eyes are open, because there were times where I was singing with my eyes closed. If I see the red light somewhere,
Follow it.
just follow it.
So a lot of people are asking, you know, what is the inspiration behind the song? Is there a special person in your life that it's about? Was it something that you saw? What's the inspiration behind Batarf?
Right. So no, there isn't a special. I mean, there are a lot of special people in my life, but not
Not a particular
not a
one like this.
romantic love interest or
Yeah.
anything. I mean, the biggest industry of music in Malta. This is something that's not news. Is weddings, right? We do big shows, but you get like maybe 5, 6 big shows a year, but in order to maintain, to earn a living, you need to perform regularly. And the biggest industry of music in Malta is weddings. And there's this couple who asked me they wanted to see if I could be able to sing at their wedding. And I was like, funnily enough, they had been trying to get in touch. And somehow we kept missing each other. I don't know, like the message went to a spam folder, and then it was like they called my dad, and my dad has listened. And they were very persistent. And we got in touch, and they came to my office, and we were talking, and they told me their story, how 12 years ago now, they met in rehab.
Okay.
So they were in the darkest place in their life, because they didn't even go to rehab consciously. They were referred.
Wow.
All right.
Wow. Okay.
It wasn't something that they was like, listen, I need to get out, and they were referred to. And they were there during the program. They didn't know each other. They met whilst they were in rehab, and they bonded. But at the same time, there were moments where she was losing faith in herself, and he showed,
Wow.
He had faith in her. And there were moments when he was losing faith in himself, or bil-Malta ta' qalbek, and she obviously believed in him. And eventually they graduated from rehab, because that's the word that's the word that's used, and it makes sense because it is quite a learning curve, They went out on a date. They went out because obviously after rehab, you stay away from alcohol, you stay away from a lot of things.
And you need to find new people as well.
You need to find so that you don't relapse and all that. So obviously they found solace in each other. They started going out, and eventually, he's an attractive guy, she's an attractive woman, and they started going out on dates. Eventually, they moved to London.
Wow, okay.
They opened a business together. They have 3 beautiful kids.
So success story.
Success story. In fact, in my lyric, I say "Ma saqajna u żewġ kejknin," so 2 kids. That's poetic license, right? Because actually, they have 3 kids.
So do they know?
They know, yes.
How did they react?
When I wrote the lyrics, I sent them. I told them, listen. So this was after the wedding, right? Then I sang in the wedding because just to finish the story, they wanted to celebrate this 11 years after meeting. They wanted to celebrate their love, and they got married. It was quite it was a small, intimate wedding, not more than 30 people, but it was something that obviously captured me magically. But when they were at my house telling me about their story, I got goosebumps all over, right? And I was actually set to go to a barbecue at my friend's house. So I finished the meeting with them, I took a shower, I dressed up, and I'm driving to my friend's house. And I couldn't even see, I was so lost in their story. I turned back home, and I started writing the lyrics in English.
Wow, okay.
And it just wasn't sounding right, like I was playing on the piano, like a few chords that just came to me, the simple ones. And I'm like, these lyrics, man, it's like, bleh. But my notes were in Maltese. And I'm like just jotting down random things. And I was like, wow, this actually rhymes with this rhymes with this rhymes with this. And it's like, so I wrote it, a very simple version of what it is today, right? And I was like, I sent them a message, like, guys, I wasn't really inspired by your story. And I wrote this. And I just sent them the text. And they told me, wow, Goose, but they hadn't even heard the music yet. And it's like, wow, Goose, this is like, it's like you're one of our best friends and you know our story from beginning to end. And that's the impact that I had from their story.
That's without music.
That's what?
That's without music.
Yeah, I hadn't sent them because I had done something. I had done a demo and I recorded it at my house. And then I called Peter Borch from Red Electric because he has his own studio. Yep. And I told him, listen, I have this song and I would like to record it, you know? And he said, send it over. And I was like, I'd rather bring it with me and play it to you and there. So I went to the studio, and Alejandro, who is who's also the pianist in Red Electric, but also a studio musician, a session musician at the studio, was there. And I was like, guys, this is the song, and they were like, and I could see them like buzzing with it, even though it was a very simple version of what it is today. And then we just set up a few sessions. I mean, Alejandro with his piano chords, from this he made it this. And Pete with his guitar solos and his riffs and the effects and obviously all the experience that he has as a producer. And by the end, when they sent me the song, I was like, this is farther than what I would have imagined, you know, as a song. And we did a few changes. For example, there's a key change in the second verse, which is not a normal thing to do. It's an Italian thing. Some Italian songs do it. But normally a key change in these competitions is at the end. Check. Like after the bridge was like,
second verse, okay.
But this is like when the drum roll before the second verse goes in, then there's a weird sound. And the weird sound is the key change.
There you go.
And then Alejandro and Peter wrote the bit where I'm going, oh.
Yep.
They're the ones who wrote that part. And just eventually when I heard it done so they sent me the demo without my voice so I could practice it, and I went back to record it. It was just a magical journey, you know.
Yeah, it sounds
and then
like
obviously the final part was the orchestra. So Paul Borch, who is the director of Versatile Brass.
Wow, you had all the big names.
I asked him because he's from Hamroon like me, right? And we did a couple of projects. We had a concert in summer together, and he did the Innu tal-Hamroon recently, which was absolutely beautiful. I was like, Paul, you're from Hamroon, I'm from Hamroon. I would love it if you do the music arrangement for this song. And he said, okay, send it to me. And I sent it to him, and he was like, I love this song.
Perfect.
So I knew that he did it from the heart. And he didn't, but the weird thing is, he didn't want me to hear the orchestra, his arrangement before actually going on stage.
Wow.
Like I had never heard what he had done.
Risky.
Before actually being on stage.
But it worked out.
And I was like, I trust him. I'm going to trust him, and Aurelio, the conductor on the show, said, Kurt, I can tell that he did the arrangement from the heart. And that gave me a bit of peace. I was like, I'm going to trust. I'm not going to be this control freak that I am usually. And it was, I was very, very, very happy. That's quite a long story. I'm sorry.
No, that's exactly what I wanted. So obviously, first of all, beautiful story, and it's really touching to see the inspirations of a really great source of wholesomeness and emotion. So the fact that you're a songwriter really helps out.
Yes.
You're saying you hear a story, you're about your life, you're about to go to a barbecue, you had to go back, you had to get the piano out and just get it out. So usually you write in English.
Yes, this was the first time I ever wrote in Maltese.
And it just came naturally?
Less than half an hour.
Incredible.
The lyrics, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. There are instances where I spend days working on a song and, fixing, and then I'm not sure about this lyric, and then I'm fixing, and then doing the production, I'm like,
fuck.
It's not going in. And this one was relatively quite a plain sailing journey in terms of songwriting and producing.
And you're expecting this, you mentioned weddings before. When I heard this song and even the comments online, you know, we had people saying, this is the song, the first dance of my wedding, this is the song I want to do my first dance to. Are you imagining this is going to be a mainstay in Maltese weddings now for like the next 10, 20 years?
If it makes the Maltese people happy, it makes me happy. I mean, the fact that on Sunday, right, and Saturday evening there were also weddings. Obviously, they would have planned their first dance months in advance, right? And the song was first out on Thursday. So to get videos on Saturday night of couples doing their first dance to Blatar.
Oh, already.
So yeah, so they would have, I don't know where they would have gotten the version from, but I'm like, wow, this is 2 days after I released this song, right?
That's a good sign.
And they chucked their original choice to do Blatar.
They knew a guy who knew a guy, probably.
Yeah, probably. The funny thing is, I didn't even write this song for it to be like a wedding number. I was so touched by the fact that they were in a dark place, and they turned that, instead of saying, oh, because I'm miskeen and because I'm unlucky and because I'm this, and making excuses, they took what they learned and they built on it, and they made something really strong, and they've given opportunities to other people. And
amazing.
You know, like that touched me, because I was, you know, the whole COVID situation for artists was horrible, you know, and we lost a lot of work. We lost our purpose. I mean, there were times where I'd wake up in the morning and I'm like, what am I going to do today?
Oh my God.
You know, I was going out to walk in fields. I was cooking, baking banana bread like everyone else.
With a sourdough.
And TikToks, and like I was like, but
this isn't it.
It's not me,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
Like I'm not the guy who stays in bed or spends time on my phone just flipping through. You know, I'm a guy who goes out. I want to meet people. I want to create things. I want to write. I want to collaborate. I want to, you know, generate business and stuff like that. And that is who I am. So.
And I'm sure with Blatarf you're going to be generating a lot of business over the next few months. So I have to ask you, you know, because a lot of people were asking in the comments as well. You know, Ira Losco did it twice. Chiara did it 3 times. Any plans to apply for Eurovision again, or maybe look at that again? Obviously, I mean, you said a decade this year. This would be your 2nd time going up. Is that at all a consideration?
So in 2017 or 18, the first time the X Factor was in Malta. Before they had announced that the winner for the person who's going to represent Malta in Eurovision will be done through X Factor rather than the usual festival, I had actually written a song called Sweet Chili.
Okay.
Which
of course, there's that.
You guys had obviously done a great article about it. That song was originally written, I wrote it with Mushu in order to submit for Eurovision.
Okay.
So that was like my plan. I had
Alright.
I had a performance in my mind, what I wanted, you know, visualizing, right? Because I like to prepare it in advance. So I always want to know, even if I don't get chosen, like I have no guarantee that I'm going to make it through. But if there's a saying that says it's useless praying for rain if I don't dig the well.
You have to make the groundwork.
You know, if I don't dig a well and I pray for rain, it's like, okay, well, rain will come down, you have water today, but you won't have it tomorrow.
So you like to be prepared.
Yeah, I like to be prepared. So you know, and then there was like, oh no, they're going to do it with X Factor. Like, so I finally decide after 6 years.
Let me go for it again.
Let me apply.
Let me try for it, yeah.
Right? And it's like they changed it. So I was like, oh, okay. So let me release it as a song. It did well, you know, I had some radio plays. And then a year later, they did X Factor again. So obviously I couldn't do it. And then COVID. So whatever.
Okay.
As you can see, I'm not answering the question.
No. So I'm going to say, we're going to never say never.
But my intention was this year to apply for Eurovision. But I had already written Blatarf, and I hadn't finished the song that I had in mind to submit for Eurovision. So like, let me just focus on Mużika Mużika, and then if need be, you'll never know.
And it was a good decision.
I am not the kind of guy who will say yes or no. If I have a song which I believe in, and I believe I'm ready to, you know, meant it, because it's not just, listen, I want to go sing and I'll try my luck, as Yoda says. Right? I'm not a Star Wars guy, by the way. But there's no try. You either do or don't.
There you go.
You know, I don't believe in try. I'm going to do or don't. Do, it doesn't mean that because I'm going to do means I'm going to win.
No.
But I want to be focused, you know, mentally. I want to be there physically. You know, if I have a song that requires dance movements. I don't want to do it half.
No, you're going to go all in.
Go all in, you know, the whole 9 yards or whatever it's called, 8 yards.
Nine yards. No, this is this is really interesting. And I mean, let's be clear. 10 years ago, you had all of Malta doing a dance. Now, for the next 10 years, we're going to have everyone doing another dance. Before we close off this interview, you know, just a few hours ago, a popular Maltese singer, Franklin, someone that, you know, regularly competes in Malta Song for Europe, Mużika Mużika, great voice, great look as well. He posted on Facebook saying, listen, this is my last competition.
Yeah.
I'm done with competitions. You're not going to see me at competitions, but he's going to stay active in music. As someone that's, you know, been in many competitions, I'm sure you've competed with Franklin, you've probably even shared stages with him. Kind of, what's your reaction to this? Do you have any words of condolence or advice to Franklin? What do you make of this?
I mean, first of all, Franklin's a great guy. You know, so we've never competed together.
Okay.
So the first time Franklin actually competed in Eurovision was a year after I won with This Is the Night. And in the meantime, I've followed his stories and I've seen his songs. And I mean, I remember from the first time listening to him sing, this guy has an incredible voice. And I don't say this, I mean, I've actually sent him personal messages saying, listen, dude, you have a great voice. I'm, you know, amazing. I mean, it's easy to get disheartened when you haven't succeeded in something that you really want, or maybe haven't reached, I wouldn't say succeed, because to me, he's still a success. Because
very well known.
He's known, and out of 177 people who applied to be in Mużika Mużika, he was one of the 12.
There you go.
Right? So, it's all, in my opinion, you know, for me, like I said, if I made it to the final and got last place, I would have been happy. Because, okay, maybe because I've had in the past other success, but it's music. It's not just about winning, it's about what's happening after, right? I remember telling this to my brother when he was in X Factor. I told him, like, listen, focus on the show, do your best, but the most important thing is what's going to happen after.
There you go.
You know, like, this is a few weeks and then it's over, but what's going to happen afterwards? This was always what I believe, and I tried to push it through. Yes, obviously, maybe the result was not what he wanted. I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but at the end of the day, if this means so much to, if a competition still means something to him, I would say, you know, take your time, cool, chill down. You know, maybe do a bit of regrouping, see what you think you could do better, see what then, you know, maybe work with different songwriters. I love the songwriters he worked with, by the way, because they're good friends of mine. And
a great rendition. He hit some incredible notes.
You know, so yeah. So I would say if something is still important to you, then yes, work hard. If something is not as important to you, then, you know, it's like maybe it's time to find a new thing. But I personally would think it's a shame if Franklin would not, you know, be there in present somehow in the music industry, because those vocals, I mean, we were at
incredible.
Before the show, I was doing my warm-up and I took my own piano into my changing room.
Okay.
Because I don't do the la 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 la. I just was singing Ain't No Sunshine when she's gone, and then just doing it in different keys.
I see.
So right. Like, ain't no sunshine when she's gone, ain't no sunshine. Sing the whole song. And he was, his changing room was far away, but he was like, I told him, listen, come here, because we're good friends. Like, we really had fun. Like, we had a few things related to Mużika Mużika together, and we were listening to music in the car. I picked him up, we bought Calleja.
Lallo, okay.
And he came and I told him to come here, and we were singing, and he was doing some beautiful harmonies. We were singing Just the Way You Are, and he was doing harmonies. We were doing other songs. And he said, you know, our voice is changed. I said, yes, man, we have a beautiful voice, and I really enjoy singing, you know. So, I mean, competitions is not the only way. I'm not a big competition guy myself. I mean, I've done one competition in Italy once, Eurovision twice, and this.
Wow.
And that's all I've competed in. Other than that, in between, the 10 years in between, for me, was all focused on being out there, gigging, understanding what people like and giving it to them. Sometimes sacrificing what you like. I mean, I'm not exactly crazy about Sweet Caroline as a song, you know. I mean, it's a good song, but it's like, it doesn't feel like I'm challenging myself vocally or musically. But when I see people in front of me, Sweet Sweet Caroline. What? I'm like, dude, this is my job. I want to make people happy, you know, and it's great. You know what I'm saying? It's
I know exactly what you're saying.
It's like, and I mean,
yeah. And you've clearly made people happy, especially with the newest song. So listen, to new fans of Kurt Calleja, to old fans who are reminded of the talent of the man beside me, where can they follow you? Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever platforms you are, and anything to look out for, anything that fans should be looking out for in the next coming weeks or months.
Right. So my main social media platforms are Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, I mean mainly those.
Yeah.
I have a TikTok account and I do sometimes post things, but I'm not a big TikTok guy.
No. And where can they
I think it's a generation thing. You know,
it
I'm in my
definitely
30s,
is.
you know. So
and it's Kurt Calleja.
yes.
Kurt Calleja.
It's I have obviously YouTube, so obviously I've got a number of performances there.
Cool.
Maybe some that I'm really proud of, but haven't really. You know, like there would be like live shows which I would have done and enjoyed. There's old music videos, you know, all the way back from 2011.
Beautiful, from the archives.
So there's like Over and Over. I've got Love on Mars, from my first
How
album.
good, how good.
So they're all still there. Some live shows and some other concerts. I mean, I love music. I think music is a perfect opportunity to transmit emotions and to transmit messages. I mean, message of hope, fun, laughter, you know, maybe like people can relate to. I am working on a few collaborations. I want to release some more good Maltese music.
Cool. So we're going to be singing a few more songs in Maltese.
I do want to do that. I'm really committed. Like Kyle George, who was one of the competitors this year, had a fantastic radio song in Maltese.
Wow. Okay.
Like the first time I heard it, I was like, this needs to be on Maltese radio. You know, it needs to be. And I want more, I would love if more artists have good Maltese songs on radio, not just the typical, you know, like romantic songs, big voice, you know, something that's current, but in Maltese. That, it just needs to happen. I have a few interesting collaborations, one of them will include my own brother.
Cool.
And
cool.
A few others, for example, like Claudia Faniello, who's one of my best friends.
Super cool, okay.
And others which I cannot reveal yet.
We'll be waiting
though.
though.
I'm very excited about these. We've got a nice couple of shows coming up ever since, Sunday, yesterday. I've been contacted to do a few really great shows with the band and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to them. And recently, like it was a few months before COVID began, I got signed with a very small Italian label, right? And I mean small. When I mean small, it's a small label, but they have connections. Like they've had some of their work published with Universal and Sony and stuff like that. So it's a stepping stone.
Absolutely.
For me, I get to write. I get to go to Italy, and I spend a week there writing. And I'm like, if someone calls, sorry, because I'm sorry, and it's true. But I can focus when I'm here in Malta. Like if I go out from the studio and going for lunch, I'm like someone's calling for work or this, and so it's anyway. It's one of
distractions.
But I get to really get immersed in music, and so we're working on our second album, and that will be more focused on an international, in a sense, where it's English based as an album.
Well, Kurt, I can tell you that Malta as an island is lucky to have you as a talent here. Once again, congratulations on the big win. We'll definitely be looking out for the collabs as well as more music in Maltese, and I can only hope that more people's real stories inspire you to create more music, because I have a feeling this song's going to touch many people, and it's just been released. I can't even imagine over the next few years. Guys, let us know in the comments below what you think of Blottarf as well as Kurt Calleja. Are you a fan? Do you want to see more of him? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, from myself and the whole Lovin Malta team, have an evening full of lovin'.